You're such an asshole!
Hello, children. AssholeConsulting.com, live from Vegas. Oh, I don't know, this is the 9th or 10th place I've been in the past month, but final destination. Get to fly back home, leave my motorcycle with my buddy. So when I come out to Vegas, I don't have to get raped in the ass paying, God almighty, car rentals, man. 40, 50 bucks a day, fuck you. I remember the good old recession times under Obama where you could get a car rental for $12. It was great. Here, and I'm a recovering liberal who has undergone a sobering process that has been going on since the beginning of Obama's second term in office. My views began to change after being introduced to and watching many videos from YouTubers such as yourself, Stefan Molyneux, Dave Rubin, and Sargon of Akkad. I now consider myself a classic liberal, perhaps even centrist libertarian that values individual freedom, limited governments, and the right to self-defense, absolute free speech, short of direct indictment to violence, national sovereignty, and the right of a country to control its own borders as paramount to a functioning nation-state. Above all else, I despise the identity politics of the regressive left and alt-right. In fact, I fully embrace my cis-gum, heteronormative, Islamophobic, patriarchal white male privilege that I am alleged to have on a daily basis by the people I used to consider political allies. You're just hanging out with inferior people. Now, I do mean that they are inferior if they do not think. And you know this, you were there. This is my religion? Okay. And that's how simple it is. I cannot stand the divisiveness of their politics any longer, and this is coming from someone who once considered himself a social democrat along the lines of Bernie Sanders. In my past, I was a naive millennial who bought into the indoctrination of my small liberal arts college that I was attending during the second W. Bush term. It was there wherein I majored in history, I know, and I even wanted to, gasp, become a professor when I graduated. Well, I don't know what else you do with a history degree, except parasite off of future history degree majoring people. You rewrite history? The white people suck. However, I now count it as a blessing in disguise that I wasn't able to make it into graduate school. Yeah, you did save your life there. Having watched videos online about the lunacy on modern college campuses such as Berkeley and Evergreen State College in Washington, I cannot even fathom teaching in environments that are so toxic to free speech and the healthy exchange of ideas. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I don't think every college is like that, like the Berkeleys or the Evergreens or the Middleburys. Yeah, there are other colleges like Missoula. There are other colleges that say like, hey, there may be leftist indoctrination, there may be extreme left-wing politics. But it is good occasionally to see the Jordan Petersons and the Weinsteins, the guys, the professors say, whoa, wait a minute. Now it's affecting us. And now old liberals are actually waking up to the Frankenstein monsters they created. So, and these guys, and in public, like Evergreen State College, Mizzou, people are starting to realize, like, fuck no, we ain't sending our kids there. Anyway, this is not how school was 10 years ago, and it shows how far down the rabbit hole of leftist indoctrination and activism we have fallen as society. Not to the levels of Sweden or Canada yet, but we are on our way. And we're on our own very unique way. I wouldn't say it's just boring socialism. It's a special, swipple, spoiled suburbanite, white kids, genuinely privileged social justice warriors psychopath down towards socialism. I'm now doing a second degree in STEM, field of computer networking, hoping to graduate soon and get certified so I can start paying back my student loans and become a productive member of society, unlike many of my same age group. This brings me to my question for you, and I think others online may benefit from it, so I would like to request a video response. I consider you very qualified to answer the question, as you have said in past videos, that you are an economist by training and worked in the banking establishment. Many people in Gen X and millennial generations have collectively racked up billions, try trillions, both now and when billions, if not trillions of dollars in student debt owned to both private banks and the federal government. It's actually backed up by the taxpayer, but we don't care. The taxpayer is just amorphous. It's just money comes out of the sky, like Obama phones. As someone who have lived through both the tech and house loan bubbles bursting, what parallels can you draw from those experiences towards how the student loan bubble is currently shaping up? What effects it has on the economy both now and when it eventually bursts? I'm trying to prepare myself by gaining in-demand skills that will be necessary as long as we have computer networks and utilize the internet. That's good. Nonetheless, I fear that this may still not be enough to offset the looming economic crisis we face as a country. What else might we as responsible adults do to prepare for probably one of the worst economic downturns our country has faced since its inception? Any tips for someone that doesn't have large reserves of liquid assets that can be exchanged into precious metals? I'm just a working class guy trying to make something of himself and survive the oncoming storm. If you could respond back, how much your advice costs? Thanks for your response and for being such an asshole. Okay. Well, let's answer your first question. As someone who's, what parallels can you draw from those experienced towards how the student loan bubble is currently shaping up, what effects it has on the economy? Well, now when it eventually bursts, is that all? Okay, there are some parallels, obviously, between the dot-com bubble, the housing bubble, and the student loan bubble. The most predominant of those is the classic Austrian credit-driven bubble. If you look at housing, dot-com's a little bit less, but still, dot-coms and telecommunications, there's a fair amount of borrowing going on. And especially student loans, these are financed by low interest rates. And when you have low interest rates, now you can afford more house. Ironically, you think you're going to get a deal on the house. No, housing prices just go up. The truly stupid, I do mean that, the truly stupid college-educated people who can't figure out why tuition's so high. It's like, well, when the government floods annually about $750 billion worth of scholarship money, government loans, subsidized loan, interest-free loans, parents taking out home equity loans to send their kids to fuck you. When all those hundreds of billions of dollars every year floods the education market, and you wonder, we need to spend more money on education because it's so expensive. They don't realize that's the problem, is you're flooding a limited market. College, they can offer a lot of degrees, but there's a certain amount of teachers, a certain amount of infrastructure, a certain amount of productive capacity. And when everybody has to go to college, even you fucking retards, and we just throw more and more money into it because most people are idiots and they think, well, just throw money at it because that worked with black people, minorities, women in a great society, and communism in Venezuela, and we just threw money at it, it just took care of itself. So that's basically the economic origins are the same. You have markets being flooded with typically low interest or no interest borrowed money that has driven asset prices up with whatever it is that you're buying. So housing, today's stock market, it's with retirement money, quantitative easing money, and low interest rates that corporations have been borrowing. They've invested well over $1.5 trillion now into the stock market through buybacks. And education, healthcare, there's another one. We borrow all this money and the government, we just got to give all free education and healthcare to everybody. Oh my God, why is healthcare so expensive? I just need a country of me's. Could you imagine? Fuck colonizing Mars. We terraform Pluto, which is still a planet though, by the way. So the origins are the same there. That's where it's come from, is we're going to make things affordable by lowering interest rates, and that jacks up the prices. So classic Austrian credit-driven bubble. Now, there the parallels kind of end because I've done this before, a couple of videos back about when will the education bubble burst. This is where it's different than the other bubbles, the education bubble I mean. Because we're not dealing with something that can naturally crash right away. One, most of these educations are worthless. They have no collateral value. Like in housing, if you don't pay your mortgage, there's a house that can be repossessed. Stocks, if you're borrowing money on margin account, there are stocks that can be repossessed. These other bubbles we're chasing after genuine assets. In 2/3 of the cases, though, with the education bubble, 2/3 of the time, people are majoring in worthless shit. And there's nothing that you can actually go after to get. So it is going to be a genuine bailout if the government does decide to bail out these kids. The other thing is that, as I kind of alluded to before, a college degree is not a tangible fixed asset that once again has market price. Stocks go up and down like this, they're very liquid. Housing not as liquid, but you still have real estate investment trusts. Housing does go up and down rather quickly. But what about a college degree? What about an education? And this is the problem with an education. It's not a publicly traded good. I'm sorry, publicly traded security where you can look up the New York Stock Exchange and say it was the value of a degree. It's much more molassesy than that. It's much more slower moving. Throw in the fact that we have huge amounts of the economy, resources, sectors of society, brainwashing current and young children. I mean, from adults all the way up. There's such an ego investment in the United States into higher education that it is an emperor has no clothes type of thing. So you got older people, even baby boomers, who are, well, maybe not even the baby boomers anymore, but some older Gen Xers or younger baby boomers. I see this a lot where it's 58-year-old Tilly and she's going to get her master's in public health administration, and she's got her cats and she goes into debt, and she pays $150,000 for this master's in public health because she never wanted to do math or engineering or STEM or science or accounting or actually be a productive member of society. I think I should manage hospitals. You think a doctor should manage hospitals? Oh, that's right. You were one of the first swivel suburbanite American white girls who can't be told no, and now you're 58, and look where it's gotten you. Where was I going with that? So old people are indoctrinated to think that there's some kind of value to their degree because usually they have nothing else to point to. Also, a lot of the baby boomers and older Gen Xers are, well, especially the baby boomers, they've co-signed their grandkids or their kids' loans. Their student loans are worthless shit, and they're finding out that their son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter aren't paying the loans, and now they're on the hook for it. So there's this huge ego investment from the baby boomers. Then Gen X, right now, Gen X, the women are slowly starting to wake up and say, hey, wait a minute, working isn't fun. I thought the career was supposed to be everything. Why do I want to have children all of a sudden? Babies. And then you're like, no, fuck you, we're too old, go away. Anyway, said I could have it all. But these women, especially the women, men less so, but they're still there. But especially among Gen X, what else have they got to point to? I mean, really, what have they got to point to? Gen X, I know we all like slamming on the boomers and the millennials, but trust me, I'm in Gen X, it's a shit generation. So they're all going through their divorces and single parenthood. Oh, my husband was a dick, or my wife was a bitch, and so they're just going down the exact same path as the baby boomers. Still, the only real thing that most of them have to show for, I got my college degree, I are smart, I are educated. And the millennials, oh my God, you want to talk about ego investment? They've done nothing. They've done nothing. And they've also been indoctrinated and brainwashed by the previous generations. You must go to college. Baby boomers told Gen X, you must go to college. Gen X told the millennials, you must go to college. I'm hoping Gen Z wakes the fuck up this time. At least because there's other educational alternatives. So the longer point of that is that you have such a society-wide psychological, egotistical, emotional investment in education because for the most part, 9 out of 10 Americans, from baby boomers to millennials, are worthless fucking pieces of shit, have nothing else to point to. Say, I degree, I degree, me, I degree. So there's this huge financial, psychological, emotional, every capacity of the human existence in the country has been dedicated and have this incentive towards continuing on the emperor has no clothes. That any degree is a good degree. I got an education. You must go to college. And I see it a lot, especially in asshole consulting, with parents telling their kids, you better go to college. Why? Because they care about their kid? No, because they want to brag to their fucking relatives. Predominantly amongst the Middle Eastern and Asian cultures, but it does happen in Whitey McWhiteland too. Anyway, so it's not going to be as liquid like, oh shit, Procter & Gamble dropped by 10%, I better sell, and then you're out of it in a transaction. This is a long, decades-long, generations-long thing, a brainwashing that has to be slowly undone. And so I don't think you're going to see an immediate and mass exodus out of the education bubble, which means it's not going to burst, but it's rather going to deflate. And we've seen this. About the most rapid you can see it happening is what would be the, quote, collapse of the law school industry. And by collapse, I mean 3 or 4 law schools close a year. If you can get enrollment to go down, that's a bubble bursting in the education world, because again, it's like molasses. It's not as liquid of an investment. It's not an investment half the time. So what I predict will continue to happen, especially with the internet, and especially as degrees start to become free or near free, like with Western Governors University, ASU Online, anything that doesn't have to be physically there, the trades, engineering, or something like that, all the accounting, you're going to see basically a lot of these kids just say, I'm not going to Middlebury, I'm not going to Mizzou, I'm not even going to Madison. I'm going online, and for $6,000 a year from the comforts of my own home, I can go and get a degree in accounting or management information systems or this or that. Soon I predict, or with Udemy and edX, Khan's Academy, they will start having online degrees that are accredited. And that's going to spell the end. I mean, and that might be the actual crash that happens. Is once if Trump and the Republicans wanted to do something for young people and really endear themselves to it, they would start accrediting through the Office of Higher Education online programs, so these poor kids aren't stuck with massive tuition bills. But I've actually tried to contact different people. I do have connections in Congress. Forget it. Just this is why you enjoy the decline. Still, slowly but surely, the private sector will rear its ugly head, and I think that will destroy big education. But I don't think it's going to happen for 5 to 10 more years. But it will happen. It will happen. It'll be very interesting. And it'll be very good, because imagine, for Gen Z, they won't have to borrow $75,000. Not to mention all the time commitment, commuting to a school, sitting in physical classes. They'll be on this, getting just as good quality read, probably better, because if you're going to teach online, you're probably going to have to be one of the best. Whereas your rank and file adjunct professorial piece of shits out there, they don't really care. They just want their $18 an hour. And then they teach. I'm a teacher. So that's where the parallels are and where they aren't. So that's all right. Now, I don't know if there's any bubbles. How's the student loan bubble currently shaping up, and what effects will it have on the economy, both now and eventually when it bursts? All right, when it bursts, it's going to lay off all the evil scum, all the academia scum, and then these leftist parasitic vermin, these communist fucks, and that's what they are. I'm not even being opinionated. They're going to find they'll have to run and scramble to get government grants and work in the nonprofits because they have no skills. But it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a bloodbath for all the people getting masters in the liberal arts, all the people with advanced degrees in the liberal arts, and the rank and file professionals. They'll still hold on to bits and pieces of academia because American children are stupid and they want the college experience. So they're going to pay to get ass raped by actually physically attending a school. But what's currently happening now, Gen X, or not Gen X, the millennials, they're not buying as many houses. I know that the housing market has a boom, but I think a lot of that is Gen Xers. From what I have seen and the studies I've poked around and looked at, it's your people my age actually buying houses now, maybe in their mid-30s. They finally got a job, they got rid of student loans, and they got families. That's kind of what's driving it now. So it is a nice housing boom that we're having, financed with low interest rates. But a lot of these millennials are just they're suffering now. The millennials they're just suffering underemployment, unemployment. They have their student loans hanging over them the entire time, and that will set the tone for their entire life. They will be the typical American. They will have debts. They will never be financially free. They will continue to take their brainwashing, they blame George Bush or white males or the boogeyman or the hurricanes on Donald Trump. They will do whatever they have to continue to lie because their ego cannot sustain the fact that they fucked up and their failures in life. So they will always be lower middle income, marginally employed type of people. And there won't be, what's great, especially as we start outsourcing more and more things, there's not going to be a shortage of waiters and waitresses and baristas. And I do appreciate that. Like, I love the fact, I know this one gal, she has her master's in feminism or something like that. And she slings coffee at the age of 32. Good for you, baby. I need someone to make me my coffee. But it's perpetual underemployment. A lot of people aren't going to have kids, so you're going to see a lot of liberal arts majoring. They're smart enough not to have kids they can't afford. Unlike stupid lower class people that just spit out kids because that's what they do in the trailer park or the ghetto or the barrio. They don't really think about it. But these people will not have families. Thus, I think you're going to see another wave of aged feminists, like much how we mock and ridicule the baby boomer feminists of the 70s and 60s. 20, 30 years from now, the millennials are, the ones that get a little bit woke are going to look back at the lies that all their teachers and professors and the feminists back then, they're going to make fun of the Gen X feminists as they're bitter and angry with their cats or raising their organic chickens. So the lie, that's the economic crisis, the lives will be ruined, and it's kind of like a permanent under sort of quasi kind of working class is what's going to happen. And I think the housing market, due to people, I think it's going to taper off. I don't think it's going to crash. I could be wrong. I think it will taper off. But that's because whatever millennials can afford a house or want to get a house will have a house. And then when it eventually bursts, like I said, I don't think it's going to burst. I think it's just going to deflate. And that's going to be good news for future younger generations. Like, like Gen X was really excited to get the internet. Like, oh my God, we got the internet. We can look it up. And then millennials got a cell phone. Like, they can just look it up on their phones. I hope Gen Z has free or near free tuition, that they don't have to go through this bullshit of going to a physical school, commuting. That's another thing. But we Gen Xers and baby boomers, we need to see you. How do I know you're working if I can't see you? We're the greatest generation ever. Fuck the World War II generation, we know. We listen to the Eagles. Welcome to the Hotel California. What the fuck was wrong with you, baby? You thought there was music? What the fuck was wrong with you people? You had fucking Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, Duke Ellington, and you get the fucking Eagles? What the just fuck you. Just fuck you guys. Your clothes suck, your architecture should suck, your art sucked, your music sucked. You guys you're the generation of suck. Just shut the fuck up and die already. They sheepishly know not to, they're just kind of like, you never really hear baby boomers like talk, defend the 70s. They kind of like, yeah, we're pretty fucking losers. Like, hey, you were. I'm trying to prepare myself by gaining in-demand skills that will be necessary as long as we have computer networks and I fear that this may not be enough to offset the looming economic crisis we face this ground. What else might we, as responsible adults, do to prepare for probably one of the worst economic downturns the country faces? The assumption? Any tips not reserved lives? Okay, one, I actually am somewhat optimistic about the United States' future because we're the world's reserve currency. And what that means is that we are one of the largest, most stable, and relatively uncorrupt countries out there. That since we are so large and stable, and our economy is that big, the world has faith in our currency. So if you're some leftist dipshit down in Venezuela, do you want their boliviars or pesos, whatever the fuck it is, or do you want US dollars? You're going to take more faith in the US dollar because in theory you can go to the United States and exchange it for something of tangible, practical good. In other words, there's intrinsic value to the US dollar. And for all of our problems, one, there's not another country out there that can rival us. A lot of people say China, but they're horrendously corrupt. So there's that lack of trust issue. So you're kind of like, I don't know what the Chinese government's going to do with the yuan or the renminbi. You want to call it, that's their currency. Russia, not big enough, highly corrupt. The European, we're going to put together the euro. Yeah, look. Oh, look, the euro dick. Oh, look at you guys. You're so cute. So that's funny that Europe is going to try something. And then, I mean, what other country? What North, South Africa? Not South Africa. Africa, South America. There are some good countries like Singapore, Switzerland, but they're just too small. I mean, you can't just print off, but the United States can. And this is how we finance our debt, basically. It's like we just print off more money. And it doesn't cause inflation because the world is going to soak up. I mean, we caused a global financial crisis, which just, it's a mind fuck. That scared everybody to invest more in the United States. It just, okay. But as hard as it is to imagine, the rest of the world really does suck compared to the United States. So there's more faith in our currency, which means, oh, well, we can just print off money and buy shit, and no one's going to do a goddamn thing about it. So I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that Gen X might actually collect a Social Security check that isn't inflated away. I think you guys would be probably all right too, but don't expect any booming times like the 50s, which is another irony, is as our debt has gone up, economic growth has slowed down. So it's just going to be kind of a blob who, I don't think we're going to have, rolling blackouts like they do in communist countries. We're not going to have, Puerto Rico, which though part of the United States is a second world shithole, and they lose power because a hurricane hits. I know a hurricane hit. I understand. The whole island, no backup, and they have their own financial problems. It's going to be all right, I think, bar war or something like that. But still, if you're worried about that, you want to be prepared for a collapse. Get a bug out bag. If you haven't read my book, Enjoy the Decline, read the chapter Shit Hits the Fan. Get some guns and ammunition. Get some precious metals. But what you can also do is you can get skills. And what I always thought was a pretty good thing to have is a set of tools and have mechanical skill. So learn how to work on cars, learn how to fix machines, learn how to do some carpentry work, and then down the road you can barter that for something in a post-apocalyptic world. If you have guns and ammo, a lot of it, you can barter that off, or what is going to be the most valuable, I'm not joking, the most valuable commodity will be security. And by security, I mean the largest, most well-armed, most trained, strongest tribe group of the gang. And so what you can do with a large enough army is you can then set up an economy, because you're going to have rules and laws, and you can protect your citizens. So you set up a little perimeter, you get a little fort, there's some farmland or whatever, you have a well, and you say, I am the baddest ass, most armed, most trained, most armored motherfucker out here, along with my 100 of well-armed, even bigger and stronger, but I'm the nucleus, I'm the leader, I'm the brains behind the outfit, but they will protect me, and we will have order. Once you have order, tyrannical or not, you can start, and you can protect your people from outside invaders, then they can start doing amazing economic efficiency, exponentially efficient. Food. You don't have to go out there and hunt. You can allow for a division of labor and specializations. Hey, you make the armor, you go make the food, you make the bread, we'll protect you guys, and if any one of you motherfuckers gives me lip, I swear to God I'll kill you. And then there'd be peace. But that is such a post-apocalyptic crap world, and here's the other thing. Good luck finding a tribe. Most people today, you're almost forced to be a lone wolf. You're going to have to learn to shoot, learn to repair, basic first aid, stuff like that, just to keep yourself going. But at that time, if it's that bad, you wonder about putting a bullet in your head, because it's just like, really, do I want to live in this Fallout 3 kind of world where there's cows with two heads and there's Mad Dog and all that? But anyway, so yeah, that's what I would do is if there's like a really bad economic crisis coming along, repairmen, mechanics, that's what I'd be looking at. Maybe electrician, electricity. People like electricity. They like cars and they like electricity. They also like shelter. Those are the things that I would get, so you're the indispensable, post-apocalyptic man. All right, that's it. You guys got questions, go to assholeconsulting.com. Well, Captain will take care of you. Get my books, particularly Bachelor Pad Economics and Enjoy the Decline and Curse of the High IQ. You can find those on Amazon. And then there's the Clary podcast. You can tune into that. That's on SoundCloud.com until SoundCloud goes bankrupt, which I'm waiting for any moment now. But, all right, we'll see you kids later. Toodles.